And you're watching this Roots TV exclusive as we talk about Nigeria's emergency response system. In the past few days, we have seen a lot of accidents and emergencies. Most prominent is the building collapse in Itafaji and then, of course, in Ibadan. Again, another one at the Lagos Island. Several people killed, a lot of people injured, several others maimed, and then a lot of lives that have been affected by this. Now, a lot of Nigerians have criticized Nigeria's emergency response system as being responsible for the high casualty rate of any kind of emergency, be it accident or building collapse. Today, we want to talk about this and what can be done, especially by you as the Nigerian who's affected by this. My name is Gloria Oje Emode, and of course, we have right here in the studio to have this conversation with us. He is Pedro Azuogo. He's the Assistant Secretary General of the Nigerian Red Cross Society. Welcome, sir.
Thank you very much.
Okay, so while we know that NEMA is the coordinator of a lot of emergency responses, we also know that the Red Cross are the first responders. You are one of the first set of people that go into any crisis situation or emergency situation. Give us just an overview of what Red Cross does in a case of a building collapse. What do you do when you go in? And how soon do you get there? And when you get there, what do you do?
Thank you very much, Gloria. Just like you said, Red Cross has always been there. We are the first responders to emergency situations, particularly crisis situations and, for instance, building collapse. In any emergency situation, we don't need to be invited. Red Cross, by the Act of Parliament of 1960 that set it up, goes into any emergency situation without being invited. So when we go, there are so many things we do. In the first instance, what we do is to do search and rescue. In the course of that search and rescue, any person who is wounded or maybe totally or completely dead, we bring them out and then try to sustain those who are wounded and then evacuate them to hospitals. And then because we don't have equipments for the purpose of raising up building or slabs, what we do is try to find out with our bare hands people who are trapped in the rubble and then try to rescue them out. Then it's now the duty of the NEMA, that is the coordinating agency, to bring out equipments, inviting any of either construction companies to bring their equipments to raise some of the rubble to see where and how we can conclude some of the emergency
that was why I did the introduction, because a lot of people think that NEMA is a first responder, but they are the coordinators.
No, they are the coordinating agency.
They are coordinating agency of different rescue teams and operations, and you are one of those first set of people. When you come into a city, how soon does it take you? How long does it take you to get to any emergency situation?
In a lightning speed. Once we're here, because we have volunteers all over, community-based volunteers all over the country. And of course we have, according to the states in Nigeria, 36, and then Abuja, 7 branches. We have our volunteers spread all over. So when any such situation occurs, there will be phone call. And then the branch responsible where the incident occurred will now rush in and then begin to do what I told you that we are trained to do. Yes.
Interesting. Now let's talk about the Nigerian Emergency Response Service as it is. Of course, we know the Nigerian Health Act, and of course the Basic Health Intervention Fund is supposed to provide, of course, 1% of the budget for emergency responses. My question is, do you get any allocation from this, from the federal government? We are not beneficiaries
of
anything at all. You're purely volunteers.
Yes.
And
unpaid volunteers.
Unpaid volunteers. Interesting. Now let's move forward. Let's talk more about the rescue situations, because sometimes when you see a crisis situation like maybe a building collapse, you see ordinary people volunteering, apart from the Red Cross Society and others who are trained to rescue. Now, for an average Nigerian, maybe I'm right on the way, moving around and on my business, and I see an emergency situation like an accident. What are the first things that Nigerians should do to help and not to further endanger the situation or aggravate the situation?
Of course, you know that Nigerians are natural sympathizers.
Yes, we are.
Yes.
We are. It's our nature.
Whether road accident, building collapse, or any sort of anything that puts somebody on a position, a situation where he cannot help himself. People usually rushing. But by the nature of our training, we are made to understand that such bystanders who rush in sometimes cause more damage.
I see.
Because in the course of trying to assist the vulnerable persons, as it were, they will even cause some damages. But what we normally do is when we get in there, we try to push people back, try to ask people to go far, stay far from the accident area. When we cordon it off, then we begin to do the activities that we are trained to do.
Interesting. So you first of all have to cordon people, and of course with regular Nigerians. What I wanted to know is, when I walk into a crisis situation, what do I do first? As a Nigerian sympathizer, which of course we are.
Depending on what the situation is.
Okay.
If
building collapse.
If it's accident, okay, building collapse.
As an example, yes.
Building collapse, you may be moved by sympathy to begin to raise one thing or the other to see if you can take somebody out. But it's possible that as you are pulling, something could drop.
Whoa.
Yes, something could drop. That is why it's better to allow professionals to do the work.
So as a sympathizer, the best thing you can do is stay away?
Yes,
or
ensure that you call, if it's maybe a bomb blast, you can't just get in like that. Because when you go, there could be a secondary device that will explode. So what you do, find a way to make phone call to the relevant agencies, NEMA, Red Cross, police, whatever. Granted that yes, out of sympathy you may want to assist. Even while assisting, yourself you can go in for it. Yes.
Wow, that's pretty interesting information. Okay, let's go back and assess the Nigerian emergency response system. I mean, you've been working in this situation. I know you are a volunteer, but you are a Nigerian, and of course, all the policies about this country, especially when it comes to healthcare, affect you. Give us an overview of Nigeria's emergency response service system. I mean, like I said to you earlier, the basic health care provision fund already allows or stipulates that 1% of the budget should go into healthcare, and some of these things are supposed to go there. But in your assessment, doing your work, how effective is it?
Well, if I'm to talk about that, what it means that Red Cross, we are not expected to delve into political aspect of how things work. We do our work voluntarily and go away and leave the rest for government. Remember, we are the people that trained NEMA when NEMA was set up.
Oh, you did?
Yeah, we did. We did the training on NEMA. But because, like I told you, our work is purely voluntary. We don't expect to be paid before we do whatever we want to do. So it's NEMA that has the principal role to actually know exactly how some of these things are done. Yes.
So at the moment, you really do not want to comment
on
how the government is doing. I completely respect that. But let's talk more about the Red Cross, because for some people, they are probably hearing for the first time that you are first responders in situations of crisis. Moving away from building collapse, let's talk about what's happening in the Northeast or northern part of the country. Do you also get involved in that, and in what capacity do you do that? You brought in bomb blast, which is something that has been occurring in that part of the country due to insurgency. Yes. How do you respond to that?
Yes, as far as the insurgency has lasted, we've been there, and presently we are still there. Our visibility is noted everywhere. So in the Northeast, right from the inception when the issue started, Red Cross has always been there. We occupy the space. We ensure that all persons who are victims of bomb blast or maybe anything, we try to evacuate them first. When we evacuate them, we sustain them, those who are wounded, take some to the hospital. Those who are dead, we take them to morgue. And then, of course, there could be a situation where those who we evacuate out, we apply what we call psychosocial activity, to stabilize them, to ensure that they do not lose so much. We also because of our brand, we use our name to call for donations
I was just about to ask you how you get funded, because
Yes.
you've already said that
No,
you're volunteers and
we
you
call
have
for
no connection
donations.
to...
We call for donations. When the donations come, either in cash or in kind, depending on what is involved. Some people don't even clothing. So we take this to all the victims of either the
Maybe the
insurgency or
IDPs?
yes.
Okay.
All the IDPs, we are the ones manning them.
I see.
Yes, we go there to make sure that we supply some relief materials. Like even in Lagos, the
Victims of the building collapse?
Yes, our volunteers in Lagos, they called for donations. Some people were bringing Indomie, food items and clothing. They were taken to them. And we even manage schools for the IDPs.
I see.
All these things are done through, funders who respond to our call to donations.
Individual funders or corporate funders or international funders?
Individuals.
Individuals,
Yes.
regular Nigerian individuals
Yes.
who do that. All right, to round this conversation up, I mean, with going forward, I mean, we've seen 3 building collapses in the space of just how many days, a week, and then some people are even envisaging there'll be a whole lot more happening. Going forward, what is Red Cross going to do, either in partnership with NEMA or as an organization alone?
Well, I think it's purely a government thing.
No, I
It's
mean,
government.
what are you going to do as Red Cross? What are you doing as we move on? Because they could be, and some people are even predicting there will be more collapses.
We've been partnering with NEMA, even in the flood issue that happened in 4 states last year. We are partnering with NEMA to bring succor to all the victims involved.
Okay. Now, sorry, before we round up, your emergency, your first responders, but do you only show up when it has happened, or do you in any way help mitigate emergencies before they happen?
Sometimes we are proactive. Where we see or notice anything that could bring untoward situation in the people, we try to...
Example?
For instance, outbreak of
a disease?
Disease,
okay.
Yes.
All right.
When we have a sign that something is going to, bring uncomfortability to people, we begin to do advocacy visits and then talk about it either on radio or on television.
Thank you very much, Mr. Azwogo, for taking our time to talk to us. And of course, we have been talking to the Assistant Secretary General of the Nigerian Red Cross Society on response to emergency management. Go ahead and give us your thoughts on the comment section of this video. You're still watching Roots TV Nigeria. My name is Gloria Oji Emode.